Wow.
there, there we go. Um, there, welcome to the circus of safety. Well, boys, I told you I was super excited. I was super nervous. I've spent all morning on that. Welcome to the show. Uh, Des, how are you? And what did you think of our fancy new intro?
I'm good. That was brilliant. I love it.
Nice. Thanks,
Fantastic
mate.
effort. Well done.
Thank you. Wait till you see the outro. Yeah. There's an outro coming as well, mate. We've gone neck level, I tell you, when it comes to this professionalism gig. Um, Andy, how are you, mate?
I'm very well. I'm just aghast at that. That was incredible.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. And I really hope it'll be interesting. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put it up on the LinkedIn page and get some votes to see what people think. So I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit excited. I mean, you saw me before the show. I was packing myself, right? I was incredibly nervous about getting this wrong. What have you been up to, Andy? Been busy? I mean, it's been a while, mate. Effectively, it's been a month, hasn't it? Because we had to have a bit of a break over the whole Anzac Easter thing.
Yep, it's been very busy, but good. Lots of interesting work happening. Sort of liaising with the EMA diploma students. Popped in to see them yesterday for block 2. It was great to catch up with them. Real dynamic group of people.
Fantastic,
and safety's in safe hands. Me teaching them.
Well, mate, if this is what safety currently is, and that's the three of us, then here's hoping the future's brighter. I tell you, here's hoping. Now, I believe if we've got this right, you said to us, Andy, that they're all dialing in as we speak to watch the show live.
They said they were going to, but I mean, this is the students, right? So, of course, I'll give a lecture.
Yeah, of course, right. They're probably still hungover from the night before, right? It is Friday after all that. And hopefully they're all watching on individual devices to help with our ratings.
That's true.
Yeah. And hopefully you brief them on that, and look forward to seeing their comments pop up in the chat. Des, mate, we've just worked out it's been a month, mate. What have you been up to? Been up to much?
I've been cooped up indoors with this weather. It's been pretty miserable, I have to admit, but it's given me the chance to catch up on a few things, so it's not all bad.
Nice.
But otherwise, I'm doing okay. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Mate, yeah, pretty much a little bit like you. Been pretty hectic, to be fair. The new gig is keeping me on my toes and pretty busy. But you know, the continual support, encouragement, caring that I receive from everyone else but you two has been phenomenal. Your comments around harden up, what's wrong with you? Just get on with it. While I'm sure appreciated in some circles, just want to let you know that, hasn't been helpful. But also, because I carry the show, obviously been working really hard with all of you, and really excited to announce, I'm sure all the viewers have been watching our LinkedIn page and will notice that we've been suddenly producing a number of spin-offs. Well, not spin-offs, right? That's not really the word, is it? We've been working really closely with the New Zealand Journal for Health and Safety Practice, trying to bring the academic articles that have been published to life in video form. And that's been going pretty well. Hey, Des, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we've had a number of interviews so far, another bunch lined up, and there's actually a new edition of the journal recently released as well. Yep. So there's plenty more to come.
And plenty more for us to catch up on. Andy, you've obviously been working real jobs because you've been a bit missing in action in some of these up recent interviews. So are you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just surprisingly busy, considering all the bad PR I get on this show.
Well, there we go. Don't worry, mate. You consultants stick together by the sounds of it. Ex-student of the show, Mark Gummer, dialing in, consultants supporting. Mate, you should start a hashtag. But yeah, no. Also, hey, listen, super excited. Coming up, the 26th or 27th, 28th of May is when we'll be there, but 26th to 28th of May, the New Zealand Occupational Hygiene Society Conference, work-related health focus there for 2025 at the Hilton in Auckland. Super excited to be joining the team there. Looking forward to it. I mean, this is, I guess, is honing in on the health aspect of what we do, right? We always focus on the safety side. This is now going to be focusing on the health side. So super excited to be there. We're going to have a stand. We're going to be helping with the emceeing, but more importantly, we're going to be taking on the valuable learning that's coming out of that. So super excited to be there. Des. Yeah, I know it's been a month. We're a little bit rusty. I believe it's your cue to lead us into our disclaimer.
Of course. But a lot's happened in the last month. And did you catch the big news that happened?
What big news?
Well, the Minister for Disclaiming and Caveats, Honourable Justin Case, has announced sweeping reforms to New Zealand's disclaimer framework, which should bring us in line, finally, with the international We Meant Well protocols from Geneva.
How did I miss this? How did I miss it?
It's big news. So part of that rollout is a brand new disclaimer hotline, and I've already logged today's show under it, so not legal advice, not safety advice, not to be relied on for anything, really. But I'm excited. I think these are exciting times, and thanks to Minister Case, we can now say things with even less accountability. And I don't hesitate to say that the future of disclaiming is here, and it's beautifully vague. I love it.
Wow. Clearly, I don't get out enough. Well, Des, as always, thank you for that. Greatly appreciated. So, boys, we've got some exciting stuff coming up on the spinning wheel, but are we ready to spin the wheel?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, there's the wheel. Here we go. Super excited. Let's go. Oh, wow. Weaponising safety.
Beautiful.
I mean, like this is going to be a cracker, right? Because Andy, you and I were talking yesterday. I've been sending some pretty fiery text messages to our group chat. We are primed, and I think we could not have landed on a better topic. I mean, look at this. He's scared, mate. He is scared about what we're about to say. So I'm going to go to you first, Andy. Weaponising safety. I mean, I guess we're not to see where we take this, but when you hear those words, weaponising safety, what's the first thing that comes rushing into that mind of yours, mate?
For me, it's using safety as leverage to do things under the guise of safety when the reality is the motivation is something else. And it's damaging. It's damaging.
That's a lot. That's really a lot damaging. Of words. Yeah, really nice.
Damaging.
Great. Looking forward. And I mean, this is going to be a great topic, Des. Weaponising safety. The first thing that comes rushing to your mind when you think about this topic. What do you think?
Much the same as what Andy just said. It's using safety processes and safety related things to not achieve a safe outcome, but to achieve some leverage in some other form, which might be some sort of negotiation or union action or something else is going on.
Yeah. Fan. And I mean, it's going to be hard for people to believe, right? If they're tuning into the show for the first time and they're going, weaponising safety, what are you guys talking about? You know, I mean, your thoughts, Des. I mean, are you seeing this happen? Is this actually a thing? And how often are we seeing this happen?
100% it's a thing. See it often. I saw it more in Australia than I do in New Zealand, to be fair. But that's not to say it doesn't happen in New Zealand. But it definitely happens, and it can be pretty sneaky sometimes.
Yeah, wow. Andy, I mean, national consultant traveling Aotearoa from the top of the north to the bottom of the south. I mean, surely, are you seeing this happening in New Zealand? I mean, is it something that is actually a thing?
It's definitely a thing. To be perfectly honest with you, I haven't necessarily witnessed that much of it recently, but certainly previously in my career, I saw it a lot when I was doing a lot of health and safety reps training. A lot of the conversation in those training sessions was about, or not necessarily about that, but was sort of alluding to that being a thing and it happening from both sides, both both the business using it to get people to behave in a certain way, and also workers using it to get some leverage against management.
Yeah,
And the
fascinating.
problem with it is that everybody loses because it shows safety in a bad light. And if it shows safety in a bad light, people don't want to be engaged in it. And if people aren't engaged in it, then it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, the accidents happen. Thanks very much. Great show.
What, you want to end the show now and play the outro? Is that what you're saying?
I think I've pretty much covered it.
Well, no, what I was taking away from that is I was right. I mean, and I just want to thank you for finally acknowledging me after, 3 seasons. We're in the 3rd season. You've finally acknowledged that actually something I've said is correct, and that is that we should just abolish health and safety, right? If we abolish health and safety, we can't weaponize it, right? It's like disarm it.
You've got a very short memory. Do you not remember that show?
Yeah, I was right.
No, you weren't. You thought you were right at the start, but at the end, as in every show, you ended up agreeing with me.
Don't quite think that's the case, but anyway, it's not all about us. Let's just jump over. Already the chat box is going hot. Wesley Bartlett, thanks for joining in, mate. Weaponising safety, using safety policies to silence employees who raise legitimate concerns. Fascinating, and again, I guess he's going down that same road that we were looking to head. So a fascinating thing there. Now, I've got to ask, and Andy, I'll stick with you, and then we'll come back down to Des. I mean, weaponising safety, is it something that's scalable? I guess I guess there's certain sometimes they can use it. It can be really bad, and maybe sometimes not so bad. I mean, are you seeing different sort of things come through, different degrees of it?
Probably. I guess I sort of, the first time I came across the term, it was actually you said it to me back in the early days of your safety career.
That's twice. I'm right. But yeah.
And when you said that to me, I thought that's a really neat term to use.
Thank you.
And I did a bit of self-reflection. Actually, I was guilty of it in my early days in safety before I became a consultant when I was just a safety advisor. And when I say just a safety advisor, I don't mean that to be demeaning in any way. But before I'd reached the dizzy heights that I'm at now. And I had used it several times when I was working in the school because there's a lack of understanding in the school structure about what safety was. I had quite a good degree of knowledge because I was studying the subject. And I certainly got some leverage that perhaps was not ethically the right thing to do, but I did certainly play on people's ignorance a little bit to get things moving. I think for the right reasons, but then it's that whole discussion about does the means justify the end, which is a Des question really, because that's all about ethics. And he's the ethical one amongst the three of us.
Well, I don't know, mate. Some of the things you were saying before we went on air, I'm a bit dubious. I'm just making some notes here, mate. I'm just.
I think the flip side of it is that whole. Is it the flip side of it? That whole thing is we've cancelled this because of health and safety.
Well, that's
weaponising safety, or is that the reverse of weaponising safety?
Well, let's just hold that because I was going to come back to that, and I was going to kind of that's one of my pet hates, right? And we'll come back to that in a minute, I think. But just want to jump over to Des. Des, in terms of the spectrum, do you think there's a spectrum in terms of weaponising safety? I mean, Wesley obviously used highlighted one point, right? But do you think there's a scale of sort of okayish weaponising to the nuclear bomb of weaponising? I mean, do you think there's such a thing?
I don't know. That's a good point. Because at what point have you sort of crossed a line? And maybe that is an ethical question because you're trying to determine whether the act itself is unethical because you're effectively telling a white lie in order to obtain some sort of an outcome. Are you doing it for the consequences like Andy was doing? What I find interesting though is that we've talked about employees being silenced and the flip side of that is employees using it against an employer. Most of the time I've seen this, it's been between PCBUs.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's been in situations where there's been...
Cool.
So where there's like a PCBU relationship with another PCBU that might be more of a client contractor relationship, raising a whole heap of safety concerns, and even in some cases creating incidents where there isn't some, in order to gain leverage in a contractual negotiation.
Really? Far out.
So you consultants are so shielded from the day-to-day harshness and the realities of the real world. You're stunned to believe this kind of carry-on happens. And fascinating. Again, just not saying that Wesley's statement is incorrect, because that does happen, and we've seen it before. But I was in a very interesting situation the other day, and I don't think it was intentional, but an employee was trying to use it in reverse, whereby the employee was suggesting that potentially a PCBU that I'm familiar with wasn't doing anything to protect them, to maintain their safety, and was trying to. I'm not actually. It was interesting because in that situation that I found myself in, I was sitting in this room, and I wasn't at all. I don't know what the end game was. I mean, the employee, they were a health and safety rep, and I guess they were trying to do the right thing by raise some safety concerns, but they were using it in a way that was, they were trying to weaponize policies and safety to say that the organization wasn't doing anything to look after them. What the end game was, or what the end result they're looking for was, I'm not aware. But when we walked it through, actually the PCBU was doing a number of things to address their set issues. So it's really interesting, right? It can come from all sorts of angles, and I got to agree with Des. I have seen it used between PCBs and quite a bit in construction, I guess, would be where I've seen it used a lot. This is really fascinating, guys. I've got to just interrupt the show here. I've got to go to the chat box because I've never seen this before. A LinkedIn user, not sure who they are, not sure how this is working, and how we don't know who they are. There must be some kind of cool private feature, but
it's possibly a bot.
What's that? Sorry?
It could be an AI bot.
It could. Have we got our first AI bot? This is awesome. This doesn't this speak to a manipulative behavior, and shouldn't there be policies around this by employers? And that's a fascinating question, and I'm going to stick with Des on this, because Des, while not legally qualified, you are a resident lawyer. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, should there be policies around this sort of thing? And effectively, what is your take on that?
Look, even if you did have policies on it, it would be very, very difficult to prove or make any sort of assertion that someone is actually using it as to be manipulative. That's a very difficult case to make. More often than not, it's just easier to investigate whatever issue they've raised, dismiss it once you found out there's nothing there, and then move on with your life.
Is this not a problem with the nature of the legislation that we've got, though? In that it's not prescriptive. Because if the legislation was really prescriptive, then it'd be very binary, right? You're either doing it or you're not.
That's a whole other topic on the wheel, mate.
Because we've got this concept of reasonably practicable, there's always going to be scope for improvement and negotiation, and that opens you up to people playing the game, so to speak, and that manipulative sort of behaviour. Playing the safety card, all that sort of thing. Yet, if it was based on regulations, that opportunity would be far less, wouldn't it?
I think
is that one of the downsides of non-prescriptive legislation?
Are we all watching the chat box going? We got distracted. Des, I think that's a question for you, mate.
I can't see any chats. Why can't I see any chats? What's going on? Have you cut me off?
No, I agree with Andy's comment. I think that it is a product of the uncertainty that we have in outcomes-based legislation. There's always something to argue.
Which I guess to be fair, right? That's the fundamental basis for the show, right? Because there are all these things to talk about and all these things to argue about. That I guess if it was too binary, we wouldn't really have anything to talk about, right? We'd be like, oh. Today, on today's episode, the Circus of Safety, we will be covering off binary clause 5.1.
Would there be fewer accidents?
I don't want to go down this road because we're going into another topic that's on the wheel, and that's when we want to go down it. But I just want to introduce to you our AI chatbot is it Adrian from the H&S Diploma course. Welcome. So Andy, you pulled the strings. I'm fascinated how this. I'm going to have to do some investigatory work.
I think they're projecting it on the big screen, and I think they're probably just joined on anonymously.
Okay, cool. And Wesley's jumping in again. Thanks again, Wesley. PCBU citing safety as an excuse to stall projects or influence decision making in non-safety related disputes. Exactly, and I think that's what we're talking about, right? And I'm kind of going to swing up and over to you, Andy. We started going down this road, and I kind of asked you to just sit tight. Some examples of weaponizing safety, right? Really interested to get your thoughts. I mean, you've already touched on one, right? Using safety related things. So my bugbear, and possibly why I threw this on the wall, right? You turn up to a McDonald's. And you see a sign on the door that says playground closed due to health and safety reasons. You look outside and it's storming, it's thundering, it's lightning, it's raining. It's not closed because of health and safety. It's closed because of the bloody weather outside, right? But what they do, people won't accept that, will they? Playground's closed due to bad weather. They weaponize the safety aspect and throw that up there. Playground closed due to health and safety reasons. The fact that I'm trying to use the playground over the restricted age limit is another story altogether. But any other examples that you've seen of weaponizing safety?
So the question I would say is that weaponizing, or is that using safety as a scapegoat?
Are those two things the same thing?
I don't think they are. I think they're quite different.
Ooh. Is that another whole topic?
Possibly. Well, I think using safety as a scapegoat is probably equally as damaging. And just doing that blanket statement is that, we can't do this because of health and safety reasons. The school trip's being cancelled because of health and safety reasons. I think you're doing everybody a disservice by saying that. And you're also highlighting, or you are doing the whole industry a disservice, because what you then do is you're playing into that card that health and safety is a bureaucratic process rather than looking after people. And that's the biggest battle that we've got, is that people often can't, and I'm working with some people at the moment around this, is there's a huge disconnect. I think it's called cognitive dissonance. I don't know, Des could probably correct me there, where people don't understand the link between safety documentation and doing safety and a reduction in accidents. There's still this huge belief out there that you do safety for safety's sake. It's just a paperwork exercise. And then, oh my goodness, an accident's happened. As if accidents are still freaks of nature. When any research, nearly all the research that you can come across, highlights that that's not really the case. That if you've got a good safety management system, unbelievably, your number of accidents and injuries reduces. But amongst the general population, they still don't make that connection amongst the general workforce. Is that they can't see the link between the piece of paper that they're filling in and an accident not happening. And until we break that down, we've got huge problems. And every time a sign goes up saying, this is closed due to health and safety reasons, you're reinforcing that divide between the two things and making it harder for us to get that message across and build engagement.
Hey, Des, is he still talking about weaponizing safety?
He is, and he's made a good point. And I think I agree with him.
Hey!
But
I've
got some other examples. Like I said, PCBU to PCBU. I've also seen PCBU to trade union.
Really?
And vice versa. And I was thinking of a bit more sort of maligned actions. People in a restaurant introducing stones into their food and then claiming that was a food safety breach or something to that effect. And I've got another colourful example that might change the rating of this show.
But I know you and colours don't go well together, so I'm a little bit nervous about this, to be fair. A little bit nervous.
So this was an instance where it's safety related in the sense that it's providing adequate facilities for employees from a hygiene perspective and
basic requirements, right? Real basic requirements. Yep.
And it was a worksite removed from sort of was difficult to get to, and so the facilities needed to be provided for bathrooms and toilets, and there needed to be, for X number of male employees, there needed to be X number of urinals and X number of cubicles, and then for female employees, similarly, a certain specified number of toilets. And that was all contractually stipulated, that there needed to be that number of toilets. And when there was a dispute on, I believe it was one of the unions connected with the project, they asked all their members just to use one cubicle and not flush. And what that meant was that in a very short amount of time, that one cubicle was taken out of commission, which meant that there was not enough toilets to adequately service the project, and therefore down tools. And this was all to gain leverage in some other negotiation for wage increase.
I've got to be honest. When you started this conversation, I was wondering. I mean, listen, to be fair, our ratings are in the gutter most of the time to start with, and I was wondering where you were taking this. But that's horrific. That is weaponizing safety. Wow, that is a whole other extreme, right?
All the things I gave you about the food safety example, this other toilet example, it happens.
Wow. Now, I did have another question, and do you know where is there a piece of paper that says how many toilets and urinals I need? I can't find it anywhere, so it'd be really good to get that off show if you could share that with me for another thing I'm dealing with. But anyway, nonetheless, and I think Andy, this is what Andy was touching on it, right? Is this weaponizing of safety? Do we think it's got something to do with the maturity of our safety culture?
Yes.
Des?
No, because it's your culture doesn't influence the impact another PCP might have on it.
But if we
safety
were
against you,
if we were more mature in our approach to safety, do you think we would still look to use it to weaponize safety? No, is that what you're saying?
If we personally were, no,
just as a
that
whole
wouldn't stop
society.
other people doing it to us.
No, as a society, I mean, so arguably our safety maturity isn't great, right? I guess we could argue that some of the conversations we have out there in the real world, and I mean, you might have a difference of opinion, and that might be a whole nother show by yourself. So I guess my wonder is there a connection between the weaponizing of safety and safety maturity? I guess it's a wonder, and interested on your thoughts.
Maybe I think it's got more to do with the marketplace and the employment relationship dynamic of wherever you are.
Nice. Okay. No, fair call. Andy, what are your thoughts? You jumped in very quickly and said yes. I mean, you agreed with me again. I think, not that I'm counting, that's about the fourth time on the show.
You've had a tough week though, so I want to,
Thank you.
It's like
Thank
counseling session. I don't agree with any of it. But,
what are your thoughts? Do you think there's any link or connection between safety maturity and with the weaponizing of safety?
I think there is. I think an interesting question to ask would be, why would somebody weaponize safety? Because that's probably indicative of something else. It's a symptom of something else, I would suggest, rather than the thing itself. So, a lack of cohesive culture in the workplace, bullying, all that sort of stuff could lead to it. I mean, the example that Des gave there was probably triggered by something else. I think he indicated it was about salary negotiations or something. And it's that whole idea is I'll go in and I'll ask for a pay rise. I don't get one. So I'm really angry about it. So what can I do to make my point, get my own back? Well, I'll phone WorkSafe and say we haven't got enough toilets. And I think if you're at that point, safety is not really your problem. Your problem is your organizational culture. But that becomes more problematic if you move to a multiple PCBU situation, as Des indicated, where you've got multiple different cultures, values coming together.
Yeah.
Where in a commercial environment, where it's all about the bottom line, it becomes make a profit at any cost, right? and we'll use any means leverage we've got.
What about other instances where you might walk past an unsafe situation or an unsafe act or something like that, and instead of intervening yourself, you call WorkSafe? Presumably, it's serious enough to warrant calling WorkSafe, but are you weaponizing your ability to contact WorkSafe in order to intervene there?
Well, I mean, I would suggest you would be if you only did that for your competitors, against your competitors. That would be weaponizing. If you were doing that out of some sort of, I mean, you guys are both members of professional bodies, so therefore you're duty bound by your code of ethics to report these things. I'm not, so I just ignore them all.
Okay, well, listen, Andy, you just better get yourself lined up because this is, I'm coming at you with this one. Just real quickly, back to our H&S diploma students. I'm assuming this is still Adrian. 100% organizational culture is the issue, not safety per se. Now, Andy, you've also brought this next one upon this show by encouraging people with some form of intellect to actually listen to us. So I'm going to lead this question in with you. So when weaponizing of safety does happen, Andy, how do we counter this? What are your thoughts around that, and how do we minimize the negative impact from said weaponizing? Go.
Great question. I think one of the things that I would say, I think does that come from a diploma student?
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, one of the things
Good
that I
luck.
say to them is that very critical thinking is a really important aspect of it, and it's great that they've taken that away from block 1 that I delivered to them a few weeks ago. Next question.
Des, can you give a real answer? Because Andy just did what most consultants do and created a whole bunch of fluff, right? Any thoughts there, Des? I mean, how can when that's occurring in the workplace, and we have and we know weaponizing of safety is happening, and maybe it's in an organization that you're involved with or the like. What are some hints or tips around countering the weaponizing of safety?
The only effective way of countering that I've seen is to be so across what you're doing from a safety perspective that you can nip it in the bud as soon as it comes up. So if someone says, I found this rock in my food or something like that, you know intimately where that food's come from, and you can answer that question probably in a few minutes and know that it did not originate from the kitchen. It came from somewhere else.
Yep.
And similarly in other situations, your knowledge and your safety knowledge and your intimate knowledge of how your operation runs is probably your only defense, let alone your best defense.
Yeah. I would support that, and I would also suggest that when people do weaponize it, it would tend, in my experience, it would tend to be they would look for some easy fruit. So it's like we're not provided with the right PPE. There's not enough toilets. The signage isn't right. All that sort of stuff. So if you as a business are over all that low-picking fruit, it makes it much harder because they've then got to dig much deeper into legislation, and they probably wouldn't be bothered.
Yeah, I often find it doesn't get down. Well, I guess you get the odd term bantered around, right? Oh, the law says this or the law says that, and fundamentally, probably 99% of the time, the law doesn't say that, right? Somebody's trying to utilize some rule or procedure or something and believe it's legislation, but that's another, and I guess one of my takeaways, because I'd like to impart some knowledge on these, the future of safety, because I'm looking for retirement soon, and I'm really concerned that the future of safety is in the hands of Andy Evans and another number of cohorts like Brent Sutton and like, but. I think one of the things, and that's sort of touching on what you were touching on, Andy, is around actually going out and I'm trying to not negotiate. That's not the right word. Trying to have a conversation with the individuals involved and trying to actually understand what their outcomes are. What are they trying to achieve by making the statement or the claim, or is it intentional? Is it unintentional? And then, like you said, being so far across, if you know what you're doing and you've got an intimate knowledge of the processes and what you are doing to manage your hazards and their risks, then just talking them through. And that situation that I found the other day where we had employees, making statements like, oh, the organization's not doing anything to keep us safe. Because of that intimate knowledge, I was very clearly able to articulate in terms that they could understand what the organization actually was doing to keep them safe. And And that was the low-hanging fruit. But then we could also articulate some of the more complex stuff happening behind the scenes that the organisation was doing to try further address the supposed issues that were being used to weaponize the conversation. And it was, I think the key is being able to articulate what you're trying to do, what you are doing. And I do wonder though also if people who are using safety as a weapon. Do you think it's I guess this is a question, Des, for you. Do you think it's because of their lack of understanding potentially around safety and the principles of safety and all that kind of good stuff?
Maybe it might have something to do with the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they're probably overconfident with the small amount of knowledge that they do have.
Bit like us.
I find there's, apart from the knowledge and the safety knowledge and the operational knowledge, there's probably a few sort of rhetorical tricks that can be used. One of which is when you're presented with a global statement, like the company never provides us with PPE, is to drill down into specifics and say, well, what PPE, when was it not provided? And invariably, when you do drill down into those details, there's not much substance to that claim. And the other rhetorical trick is to just reverse the onus of proof. Is, well, if you're going to make that claim, prove that it's the case, demonstrate it, because we're quite firm in what we're doing and that we think we're doing it right. So if you're going to make that claim, prove it.
Nice, great, some great advice. I mean, Andy, what are your thoughts around? Do people weaponize safety potentially due to, I touched on safety maturity, but maybe is it more to do with a lack of understanding as opposed to maturity, but just a general lack of understanding around safety and controls and all that kind of good stuff? What are your thoughts on that?
It could be. I think if it's strategic, like the example that where there's actually a planned action, but I think that most often it's just that people are just angry. And they just want somewhere to lash out, and they go, "I'll get you." We haven't got enough health and safety reps, so then we don't have safety reps. But then you look at the legislation, it's health and safety reps. If I ask for them, we've got to have some. So then suddenly someone goes and asks them why. Not because they want safety reps, because they want to make more work for the management to irritate them. I think it's more to do with that than any significant lack of understanding anywhere. And the health and safety reps is a good example of that. I'm familiar where that's happened a number of times, out of spite, not out of doing safety any service.
No, fantastic. Des, I think I finally caught it onto something. I think Andy is using us to help teach his diploma students. So potentially we're going to need to send him an invoice, mate. Another one coming up here. I'm going to just assume again, just from Adrian, an HNS diploma student, out of the EMA currently that Andy is part of teaching. Anyway, allow the safety committee reps to participate in an investigation of the claims, conduct cultural pulse focus groups, have robust and psychological safe ops for teams to contribute to the review, and open the room for them to discuss. Well, that's some fantastic ideas. I'm not quite sure why the question was asked of us.
That's the question for Mr. Sutton, isn't it? That's Brent Sutton's bag. That
is that his response?
That's learning teams.
Brilliant. So that's again. So I think some great examples there. Wow, the chat is going hot now. Bridge Marsh, welcome to the party. Thanks for joining us. Often safety is used out of desperation. Good point, I guess. It may be seen as the only option to get stuff done. Building a culture of trust, communication, and action when people raise concerns can help reduce this feeling. Again, a great example there.
Brilliant insights. And I'd just like to point out that Bridges is a former diploma student.
Wow. Okay, here we go. Is this another one of yours, Andy? Steve Hart. Welcome to the party, Steve.
I've never met Steve. I don't know who he is.
Are we looking at the right end of the issue? That's a good point. Why not front foot via RCA, identify and resolve the real issue? And a great point there, Steve. And I think
Steve is actually a diploma student and an EBOS student of mine.
Oh my God. So we can now validate that our followers include Des's mum, and three of Andy's students. Wow. This is going well for us. Where's my favourite Sadgrove when you need them? Or do we need to call upon our most popular Sadgrove? Anyway, and we got some of the chat going off where people are agreeing with each other. But listen, I think a fascinating conversation, gentlemen, around the weaponising of safety, and I think what we can ascertain from this, and I'll come back to you for your final thoughts, is obviously the weaponising of safety is a real thing, but there are some real good, effective tools and measures in order to counter some of that, and some of the those that popped up in the chat as well. So some great stuff there. I mean, Andy, your final words of wisdom for your diploma students that are listening in around the weaponising of safety?
Yeah, work out what's causing it. Dig down. Why are people feeling the need to do this? Probably because they don't feel, probably out of frustration that they feel no one's listening to them. So create pathways where these can be aired in a different way, a less confrontational way. And that could be your safety committee. It could be through safety reps.
Oh, so something weird's going on here, because we've got a number of people popping up as LinkedIn user. And here we go. Thank you, whoever this is. I'm not a current or former student of Andy's and wouldn't want to be. Whoa.
Ouch.
I didn't bring that bit up. Tracy Dowling plus an ex-student. Oh, there we go. Another one. And here we go. What do you know? Thanks to coming to the party, Mr. Sadgrove.
He only joined in when you said he was the favourite Sadgrove.
I didn't say.
You have caused some domestic issues there.
Hey, I did not articulate which was our favourite and which was our most popular. I did not make that statement. You did, Andy. So, Helen, take it up with Andy. Anyway, there we go. Des, your final thoughts on the weaponising of safety, mate?
Yeah, a lot of the comments and made in the show and in the chat have assumed a benevolent player when it comes to weaponising safety. I think that's pretty rare. I haven't seen that very often. Usually it's pretty maligned.
Benevolent player. Can you just articulate some of those for us not so smart people?
Weaponising safety for good reasons rather than bad reasons.
Thanks. Remember,
but also I didn't get to
on the show.
I didn't get to finish my colourful story, even the most colourful bit.
Oh, really? Go on then.
God. Okay, here we go.
Well,
hang on. Do we need another disclaimer?
You might need a bucket.
Go on, Des.
The cubicle that was put out of commission, obviously someone had to go in and repair the damage done and clean it up. And when they did finally see the toilet, the level of number 2 was actually over the height of the seat, which was I was actually kind of sickly impressed. Yeah. But it had a pair of safety glasses and a hard hat on it.
Well, I just want to apologise to Liam Burke for accidentally stumbling across the show to then hear that.
Nev. It's pronounced Nev.
Apologies.
It's Neve, isn't it?
Neve. Sorry, even I got it wrong.
Jeepers. Oh, Neve, I just want to apologise for stumbling across us accidentally and then hearing that story out of Des's mouth. We don't normally take the show that far into the gutter, but thanks for joining in. Well, listen, I think thank you from the team at the Diploma course. I've got to figure out what's going on with this private user thing happening. It's the first time we've seen this, but that's okay. Well, that's a wrap for the show, boys. Great topic, and I know I've scrambled down a few more topics that no doubt will end up on the spinning wheel. Phenomenal, really great. Now, just kind of as we always do, I've got a couple of shout outs today, actually. Firstly, our latest follower, when I jumped online this morning, Liam Scarhill. Thanks for tuning in. There's, again, this could be another mate of yours, mate, from Perth, over there in Australia. So Perth is definitely rocking up as one of our top shows. We've got to go to Perth, boys. We've got to go to Perth.
Might be a friend of my mum. I'm not
sure. Liam, mate, he's had a pretty exciting career. Currently at Hitachi Rail, He's been there for some time. He's definitely I think we found a long-term friend here. He's been there for 16 years. So here's hoping he spends 16 years with us. Currently there as the senior HSC advisor for High Touchy Rail over in the Greater Perth area. So welcome to the party, Liam, and obviously Neve. Thank you for coming in today as well. And I just want to also, currently undertake a real quick performance review here. Thanks to my new friend, Kathy Froy, who raised a number of performance issues with some of our team members. And I just want to read you this message from Kathy. Hi, I tried to message you through your website, but it told me it failed due to a server error. I don't want to be pointing fingers, but this is. I was trying to let you know that when you click on the top level YouTube channel link on your page, Andy, I get the error 404 message. AI, all the other videos are great. Glad I found Brenton through. Oh no, that's not true. I can't say that. Glad I found you guys through Chris Peace. Thank you, Chris, for helping us grow our numbers. I'm on his master's course, so I guess those diploma students, if you graduate, maybe you could head on down to Chris to do a master's. So, firstly, the response, and this was obviously AI generated. Hey, Kathy, thank you so much for reaching out. Apparently, Andy has actually had to do some real work, so clearly dropped the ball. Des has no IT expertise at all, and Websites for Dummies is not on his reading list. So I guess we'll have to get Brenton onto it. So, Kathy, again, just want to say thank you for raising your concerns around the performance of the team that I associate myself with. I will get onto it this weekend, and we'll rectify the problems. Again, just massive month, really, even though we haven't been on the show. Jump over to our YouTube channel. Just want to, again, some great work going on there. Some great, there'll be some more published next week and the following week as we catch up to the New Zealand Journal of Health and Safety Practice. So over on our YouTube channel, there's an exclusive channel dedicated to the New Zealand Journal of Health and Safety Practice, where we are looking to bring to life in video format the fantastic range of articles written for the New Zealand Journal of Health and Safety Practice. And again, a quick reminder, there's still tickets available, I believe, if you want to get on over to the New Zealand Occupational Hygiene Society Conference, held 26th to 28th of May. There's some education stuff happening on the 26th of May, the Monday. The conference is the Tuesday, Wednesday, over at the Hilton in Auckland. And if that wasn't enough to sell you, I'll tell you what, the keynote speakers lining up are going to be phenomenal, some great learnings. And if that's still not enough, you can come and see Des, myself, and Andy if he decides to turn up. So absolutely fantastic, boys. It's been a blast. Much up for the next couple of weeks, Andy?
Yeah, a bit of travelling, actually. Yeah. Getting some more air points. Sort of,
wow.
Yeah,
polluting the planet with your carbon footprint.
My gold elite status was looking precarious for a while, but I think we'll make it this year.
Honestly, Des, what are you up to for the next couple of weeks, mate?
I'm just hoping it's a quiet couple of weeks. I don't think there's much in the calendar yet. Just study and work. Fantastic.
Good work, boys. Well, I'm clearly going to be jumping onto fixing our website over the weekend, producing some more of the great art interviews that we did for the New Zealand Journal of Health and Safety Practice. So quite excited about that. And obviously, just hopefully chilling back and relaxing with the family. So, until then, I guess we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
See you later.
Thanks. See ya.